Ghosts of Tsushima is now the PS4 fastest selling first party original IP debut, with more than 2.4 million units sold globally in 3 days. And the previous record holder was Horizon Zero Dawn with 2.6 million units in 2 weeks. So this is significantly better, but there are of course more PS4 sold than 3 years ago. But yeah, safe to say that Ghost of Tsushima is a success and that likely more is coming. We now got a spoiler cast with the creative director Nate Fox from Sucker Punch, kind of hinting at what lies in the future, but also talking about some other interesting things, like what they're doing right now and why there is no lock-on in the game. Plus we got an interview on IGN Benelux where Sucker Punch hints at something that is in the pipeline, although that could be anything. So let's discuss it all. A like on the video would be super appreciated. And let's go. I already highlighted the Transcendent Ghost armor skin in a previous video, and now in the spoiler cast from Kinda Funny that I will link to in the video description, Nate Fox talked about how that was actually the final thing that they added to the game.
That was the very last thing we added into the game because we didn't feel like we rewarded people enough with platinum.
Sure.
And so we scrambled to make this armor die variant just so we could say thank you for getting to this point. Hopefully it is loud enough and vibrant enough to warrant all of your hard work, guys.
Well, I totally think that that's the case, and as said before, it's awesome that we get something else apart from the platinum to really showcase that you completed the game. So what are they working on right now? We had some updates pre-release when I was playing the game for review, like bug fixes, and actually recently we of course got update 1.05 that added the new lethal difficulty and easier mode, and also some new accessibility features. And in this interview, Nate indeed confirms that right now they are working on getting the game patched up. So let's talk about some other potential things we could see in the future in a second. But I first want to go to Imran during the spoiler cast, because he namely asked Nate about possible future locations for this franchise. And this is what Nate said.
What about Tokyo? What about Kyoto? Like other places, and not to commit you to anything in the future, but it's like, would there ever be any thought about going to those places in the future?
Oh, right now we are just completely preoccupied with getting Ghosts of Tsushima patched up as much as possible based on some of the feedback we've got from some reviewers or just our own QA testers since the game went out for production. So that's what we're doing right now. I would be very excited to make more samurai adventures in the future, but there's nothing right now that I could just say yes.
So the most interesting thing from this quote is that Nate is saying that he would be very excited to make more samurai adventures in the future. I mean, again, the game is a huge success, so I totally think Sony would be okay with letting Sucker Punch make a second game in the series. Although there might be something else first. If we head over to IGN Benelux, a website I actually used to work for, we have Rick Otten with an interview with Brian Fleming, the producer on Ghosts of Tsushima, saying that they haven't announced anything official yet regarding DLC, but that they still have something in the pipeline. I suspect that we will do something with that soon, but for now we are especially happy that Ghost of Tsushima is finished. So sure, this could be that difficulty because this interview was posted before that patch went live, but I would not be surprised if it was something else. Like New Game Plus seems like a great fit for this game. Already starting out with all the armor sets that you can now get very late and with all the skills unlocked would be very awesome. And this is actually something we saw for almost every PS4 exclusive post-launch. Days Gone was the most recent one, and that update actually also added a brand new weapon to the game. And I loved how in God of War, New Game Plus also added brand new armor sets for us to earn. Or in Horizon Zero Dawn, they added an extra mod slot to all the gear and weapons that you could get in New Game Plus, giving us a reason to grind for it again. Good to note though is that these New Game Plus modes were added a few months after launch, so it could totally be that we have to wait a little while before we can get it in Ghost of Tsushima. Although the release of update 1.05 did surprise me and came very fast after launch, like a little more than a week. So if they keep that pace up, then we can expect way more features in the coming weeks. And I was actually able to send some questions to Sucker Punch via the email, but I have no confirmation if I can get answers. When I know more about that, I will of course let you know. And of course I asked about New Game Plus and some other features. But let's not forget that Sucker Punch likes to do standalone expansions for their games. We saw that with Infamous First Light that released a few months after Second Son, and we also got Festival of Blood for Infamous 2. Maybe we can expect that for Ghosts of Tsushima as well. And what if we play Yuna then, like we played Fetch in First Light? In the spoiler cast, Blessing asked about Yuna and maybe her role in a future game.
Is that something that you guys ever thought of, or like something that came up, like the idea of switching characters, or even like what might a future game be like without Jin?
Well, we're just not at a point where we're working on a future game right now. But I mean, I definitely think of Yuna as being another Ghost, for sure. In the game, she and Jin are partners, and she's as capable, and she's right there with them. So it's not crazy at all that you thought that. I mean, we definitely wanted it to feel like she is just right there with her, his sword, because she's the one that he trusts with it, and she could use it if he's not coming back. So I don't think it's a crazy thought at all. But as for like details, I don't have any.
So they are not working on a new game yet. Interesting, we do see on the Sucker Punch career Twitter that they are looking for quite a lot of new people. So curious what that is for. I mean, we know they're working on patches, but maybe the next project is DLC. Rumors are now going around that Spider-Man Miles Morales, of course a PS5 launch game, also contains a remaster of Spider-Man PS4 for the PlayStation 5. So that comes packed in. And it makes sense because Miles Morales takes place in the same world as Spider-Man PS4. And what if that is the strategy for Sony going forward? That they re-release recent PS4 exclusives with PS5 features, but also with substantial extra content. Like we know that The Last of Us Part 2 is getting multiplayer, but what if that is part of the PlayStation 5 re-release? And what if Sony also plans a PS5 re-release for Ghosts of Tsushima with extra DLC? Ghost of Tsushima will be playable day one on PS5 with backwards compatibility, but as we saw with The Last of Us Remastered, if developers really focus on making the game for the next system, then it will look even better and use even more of the features. A PlayStation activity feature was now leaked, where you can jump from the dashboard into a specific mission from a game. Like, that would be awesome for Ghost of Tsushima. That without booting the game up, you can already see your quest log and then immediately jump to one of the missions that you have active and start it right away. We at least know that there will not be a lock-on feature, something that I also mentioned as a critique in my review. I really missed it, although I did get used to it over time. This is what Nate had to say about why it's not in the game.
So, in looking at classic samurai films, it's very frequently one guy against a big group, unless it's a duel. And when he's fighting a big group, he's moving from one enemy to another, dancing between their blades. And that was the feeling we wanted to get, especially since your enemies are the Mongols, which are known for large numbers. So we very purposely did not do a lock-on so that players would get into a rhythm of attacking this guy and then bouncing to this guy and then dodging this guy and then going back in, so that you had awareness of all of them in trying to defeat the group.
So again, we should not expect that being added later on, but when there are new features coming or other update news, I will of course let you know here. So totally subscribe for everything on Ghost of Tsushima if you haven't already. A like on the video would be super appreciated. And at the end of every Ghost of Tsushima video, I want to highlight some of the pictures that you send me via the input@JorRaptor.com email address, or by following me on Twitter @JorRaptor and then using the Your of Tsushima hashtag, just like Victor A did with this amazing shot of having Jin ending an enemy's life or just doing a stance. We also see leaves floating around with this shadow of the samurai clan armor helmet here. Really awesome. And then we go to Black Wolf, who is watching the sun go down in the distance with his trusty companion. Really nice shot, and I love how the camera is turned. Dark Claw just brutally killed a Mongol with the Heavenly Strike from the looks of it. And I love how it looks like the enemy basically turned into a statue. Really cool. Zack is jumping on the enemies, a Shadow of Tsushima. I don't think the archer is ready for it though. Seems like some bandits are helping Jin too. Really nice timing. And is this a visual novel? You would almost believe it, thanks to this shot from Alt Reality. I haven't really seen something like this. I still can't really believe that it's from the game, with the awesome blood flying in the air. Again, subscribe for everything on Ghosts of Tsushima if you haven't already. A like would be super appreciated. And also check out a previous video on some awesome outfits that you can earn in the game, including some cool cosmetics that you might have missed. For now though, I will speak to you next time, and goodbye.